sure you guys are ready for a video. Let's get to it. Alright, so today we're going to be talking lost and found Air Jordan 1s. A classic colorway, right? Chicago colorway all throughout. November 19, 2022, Jordan Brand had introduced and released another version of the Air Jordan 1 Chicago. This time, it's called the Reimagined series, meaning if you were to go out and kind of reimagine what this shoe would look like, drop it in 2022, if you found it, pretty much the lost and found theme, it would be in the back of some old sporting goods warehouse or sneaker store that you probably haven't been to, way in the back, and just found the shoe, different lid, and everything else is just like been aging in the box for so long. And this is what you would see. Cracked leather on the upper, up here on the collars, all throughout. Now, one thing I think that Jordan Brand could have done with this, even though it's got the aged vintage look and all, I think they could have went cream or a vintage look on the sole, as well as get that cream colored shoelace. I know we get white on here, but I think just to match the theme and overall vintage look of the shoe, being aged and all, I think they could have done that. Also, with the Air Jordan 1s that have been coming out, like the 85 cut and everything, I think they could have put the Air Jordan 1 85 sole on there. I know this is just your typical, Air Jordan 1 sole on there. But I think they're banking that. I feel like they are going to put that away and get you excited for it, and then bring it back with an 85 sole, everything else, all together. But, this was a great opportunity for them to be able to do this. And I think, for a lot of purists, like, they don't really care for this. But I think for the most part, since people missed out on the 2015, that, people want to see an Air Jordan 1 Chicago back into the market, back on feet. And to be honest with you guys, I think this is a 2 or 3 sneaker pickup. Like, I feel like you need multiples of these. Just like Converse Chucks and everything, you kind of need that in the rotation at all times. But, with how 2015 was and how expensive it is on the resale market, you're marking it up, way past $1,000. This is your compensation, on the resale market right now, it's probably going for just a little over $300. Initially, when they first dropped, a lot of people were paying upwards of $1,000+ on it because they thought that it could get up to the 2015 numbers. And you know what? Seeing it in full family, everywhere, everyone's doing raffles and all. I feel like that there will be plenty to go around. But don't get me wrong, still enter all the raffles that you can. Still try on that Saturday, November 19th, to try and get your shoe. I still wouldn't sleep on it, even though people say that there's a bunch of pairs out there. Who knows? Like, increase your chances, enter everything you can. That's pretty much what I do. This particular pair was purchased off the Nike sneakers exclusive access, or in other terms everyone calls EA. So got that about last week. And, pair finally came through. They shipped it via FedEx. FedEx takes a picture now of, them dropping off the package. It's a little bit not too much of a concern, but I mean, I guess they're getting there. Eventually I would like video of, like, them actually, like, walking up to your porch, dropping it off, and walking away. But that's, I guess, what the Ring cameras are for, and, whatever video systems that you guys, might have at your residence or wherever you guys, get your packages. But yeah, let's go ahead and get more into the Air Jordan 1 Lost and Found. And I'm also going to be doing a lot of comparisons with the shoe with the other versions. So let's take a look. The idea here was that Jordan Brand wanted to release something that was vintage, something that was lost in the archive, something that was lost in the old sporting goods section that you guys used to go to when you guys were a kid. The sneaker store that had the back room that forgot that they had the pair, but they found it and they dropped another lid to a box. So this is what it looks like. All distressing on the box, as you can see. You guys can check out the box label here. I go with my typical size 10. Style number is DZ5485 and color code is 612. So off to the side of that size label, you also get these sales stickers. So behind here, the original Jordan 1 used to retail for $65. Here you can see it's kind of hidden, $64.99, and then in front of it is a sales sticker. You can kind of see that here it is peeling, and that's not my own doing. That's actually something that happened at the warehouse, but it's actually supposed to be attached, just to let you guys know that. But I mean, adding to the story, I think it's still pretty cool that it comes in this vintage style looking box. So you open it up, check out what's inside. You have this newspaper type tissue paper all throughout inside, and I thought this was a really cool detail here that Jordan Brand did. They gave you all the vintage ads that came up when they were first trying to advertise and market the shoe. And then inside you got the sneakers. One thing that's really cool here is the old school receipt. Sandy Bros Sports Depot. So the Sandy Bros are Eric and Chad Sandy. They are part of the design team at Jordan Brand. And the idea here was that before the pictures leaked of the receipt being in the box with the shoes and all that, is that if you actually found this receipt in the box, you had a legit pair. But because pictures leaked, you have people that are scrambling, making these receipts, and you have fake receipts. So you can take a hard look at this receipt, know it's legit, and just check out all the details, all the edges. It's supposed to be pretty uniform in size, color, shape. And then just a little bit more detail of the receipt. You have name Paul L, and he was the developer of the shoe, one of Nike's developers for over the past 25 years. And then Leah N, she is the material design director over there at Jordan Brand. So I thought it was pretty cool to just see all these little Easter eggs, all throughout the newspaper and also the receipt. All right, let's pull these shoes out. You guys can see them up close. Anything else inside the box? You have the YDM sticker right on the opposite side. I've seen some that have 2 in there, some with 1. Pretty much that sticker is just for, control mold. Hopefully not a repeat of what we got with, 2015 to 2020 with the Air Jordans and the black leather and the glitter and all that, but that's a different story. What do you guys think? Did Jordan Brand do a good job on this? Basically, you have cracked leather all throughout the upper, mostly the white portions of the shoe. On the toe, you can really check it out. And then on the back collar here, you can see all the distressing all throughout. So this was an idea that Jordan Brand had. Whenever you found an OG Air Jordan 1, it would pretty much come like this. I see that they kind of went vintage on the tongue there as well. It's a orange or cream color foam right underneath, which kind of makes that look like it has that vintage look. But one thing I feel like they could have included were the cream laces. So you get a white lace that's already in the shoe along with the black lace. And then they could have went a little bit more vintage on the sole as well. Now I understand, I know what you're saying, not a lot of people like that look, but to keep in theme with the sneaker, I think that could have, fared well. Also, with the Air Jordan 1 sole, I feel like they could have went with the 85 sole. So this is the difference between what normal Air Jordan 1s look like versus the 85. And let me show you real quick what that 85 sole would look like. Alright, so to begin, we have the neutral or natural gray Air Jordan 1 retro that recently released. Now you can see how skinny or narrow that sole looks as compared to the Lost and Found Air Jordan 1. You can also tell with the shape of it how it curves a little bit more as opposed to the Lost and Found. A little bit more texture on the sole there. A true 85 cut is what they were trying to go with right there. And I'm going to show you guys what the Chicago one looks like as compared to this. But I mean, you can even tell with the shape how sleeker it looks with that toe on the neutral or natural gray Air Jordan 1. So hopefully down the line, they'll consider doing a true remastered or reimagined or whatever, re-retroed Air Jordan 1, down the line. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. Alright, so here we go. Check it out. Comparison time. OG from 1985 versus the 2022. Just gonna let you guys just look at it. Stare at it, look at the toes. Look how vintage it is compared to the newer version. Thoughts? You can definitely see the age there in the 85 as compared to the 2022. You can see what I'm talking about with the yellowing on the midsole there, the shape of the midsole, the soles. On the 2022, they went with that oxidized look. Something, if you didn't wear the shoe, that's probably something that you would see on the shoes with all that oxidation on the soles. Reminds me of the 2010 AJKO when they did that with their version of a vintage looking shoe. I know a lot of people didn't like that look out the gate. There was even, discussion about removing it. A lot of people removed it. And the way that you do is with acetone to remove that. So if it's something that you decide you guys want to do, you can. So a few things that they did not include on the 2022 in comparison to the 1985 is that it didn't have the date stamp on the inside lining. On the OG, that's what you get. So my particular pair was made in the TH factory. Now obviously we know that there are different factories that created this shoe. back in 1985. You got TY1, you got the BY factory, you got STP. So depending on what shoe Jordan Brand decides to model their retro after, there's a lot of different factors. So, you know, obviously I don't have another OG Air Jordan 1 to compare to another OG from the TH factory, but you know, a lot of it also has to do with the age of the collars on the upper here of the Air Jordan 1. So you can kind of see here with my OG 1, it's peeling off. But a lot of the area also is just a faded look. If you even press on it, you can kind of hear cracking. You can even see that it's also, you know, separating. So something like this, you kind of have to handle with care still. And all that good stuff. So that's one missed thing that they did. They didn't include the date stamp on the inside. Something that would have been cool. You can see here on the insole, they went with the Nike Air stamping, stuffed with paper. Now the paper back then, it wasn't this big. It was actually actual tissue paper. It's got that vintage look to it. And that's what the inside of the OG one looks like. So different style of insole. This is actually a thicker cut of the insole on the OG. Very worn in. And it's board lasted right underneath. On the 2022, it's a little bit thinner. It's the Nike Air on the heel with a size tag. If you guys bought this internationally, it would have a different inside tag here. On the underside, it's black. And then you can see here, this one's not board lasted. So again, I think it also has to do with the 85 cut and the difference there as opposed to the OG. There's the Wings logos. This is the OG. This is your 2022. You can see the height as well. Again, it's got that 85 sole on there. So the upper is going to be a little bit more sunken in. That's why you get that straight back as opposed to the 2022. Another thing that the brand did not include that they did on the 85 cuts were the hang tag. So this one I have all up in plastic. I'm not going to open it up. I think a lot of you guys have seen, you know, the details inside. They did a pretty good job retroing this on the 85 cuts. Actually, let me go ahead and pull out that natural gray again. So you can see here, it's pretty much nearly identical to, you know, what they got with the OGs. So this would have been something cool if they went with the OG style cut of the 2022 Lost and Found. Let me go ahead and introduce the 94, or what it's really supposed to be, the 95. So right here is an actual footwear catalog from Nike that would be distributed to older sneaker stores or sporting goods stores so they can look to see what's coming out. This one is specific to spring of 1995. Back there. And these are actual catalogs, you know, they would use to order the shoes. And then right within, under men's basketball, you have for spring 1995, you know, the Air Jordan 1 right there. So there's a lot of misconception about, you know, whether this is a 94 or 95. A lot of people accept 94. You know, it's definitely 95. So just something to consider. it's hard to change people's minds. You know, even when they call black red bread, like it's hard to get that idea out of your head, and it's what people know. But just know that these released in 1995. So I'm gonna refer these as the 1995. So what you have here, one era versus another. The toes on the 95, it's actually skinnier on that panel there, as opposed to the Lost and Found one. It's wider. The fit's going to be about the same, to be honest with you. I've worn size 10 ever since I was in the 10th grade. I was 15 years old at the time, and you know, it hasn't changed since then. But if you guys are looking for a size comparison with this, I would definitely go true to size on whatever Air Jordan 1s you currently wear. Alright, so there's just a look. I would say the 2022 is a bit darker than the 95, which is a little lighter. Came with black laces, no white laces for the 95. The 2022 comes with both. You can see that there's no distressing there on the collars. A little bit more embossed, just like it is in comparison to the OG, and the Wings logos there. You can see that the 95 is pretty much just painted on, slightly embossed. Swooshes a little bit smaller on the 95 compared to the Lost and Found. Comparing the soles here, 95 is right here, 2022 right here. No oxidation really on that 95. Kind of getting it. I know it's like a little bit, or actually a lot white as compared to the 2022. And there you go. Before I do 2015, let me go ahead and do the 2015 1.5. Because it was a Chicago colorway, I think it's important to include this. I didn't want to initially because the soles are obviously different. So the 1.5 is a version that Jordan wore in 1986. And it's pretty much a hybrid between the Air Jordan 1 and the Air Jordan 2. So in between those, obviously 1.5 is what everyone calls them. So you got the Nike as the Wings logo as opposed to Air Jordan. You got a black tab here, Nike Air. You got the vintage looking sole here, but then everything else is all white. What are your thoughts about this release and what Jordan Brand did here? Surprisingly, they didn't make too many other colorways of the 1.5. Here it is in comparison with the 2022. Starting with the toes. A lot wider on the 1.5, which is this one right here. No distressing on the collars. The only thing vintage, again, was the tongue. But otherwise, everything else brand new looking. Alright, and finally, I think to look at the 2015 versus the 2022. The extra laces came in bags, white and red, if you guys remember. No vintage look on the 2015. This is still one of my favorite releases. I had about 3 pair. This is my second dead stock pair. I think I traded one away for something else that I wanted. I forgot what at the time. But I also have a beater of this that I wear proudly as well. Looking at the toes there, you guys can see no distressing whatsoever on the 2015. No distressing on the collars, on the back. Wings logos. You guys can pretty much tell what's the new version and the old version, correct? And then the sole here. Pretty much the same outsole, you know, that non-1985 cut of the shoe. So yeah, 3 pairs of laces, red, white, and black for the 2015, and then just white and black on the 2022. Alright, and with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for checking out the video. I appreciate you guys coming back here, even though I've been gone for some time. But, you know, hopefully, I won't promise that I'll stay consistent, but I'll try and drop a video every now and then so you guys know I still exist. But, you know, you can always follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All that, keep in tune with what I'm doing, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.